And welcome back. I'm already home. As I already basically hinted at, after I was in Northern Ireland, I went to Scotland as well. And I got very lucky there. I got a lot of notes. And yeah, now I got quite a big Scottish collection. Well, thanks to there actually being a shop where I could buy like older paper notes. And yeah, so anyways, uh, before I continue with the Scottish notes, I want to already announce that I rearranged my banknote collection. As you know, previously everything was like from the world banknotes, modern ones, everything was in those two albums, but now I completely rearranged them and I extended it to 6 albums. And finally, yeah, it will be much better for the presentation because now basically I have one for every note instead of previously, it was very packed together and mostly it was like 2 or more notes in one sleeve. And yes, finally there's some space. It will be much better for the presentation. And yeah, I guess I will also do like uh, where I just show the whole albums, so you see the state of the collection now. I added also a lot of stuff over the last 6 months, so there will be quite a lot of videos, which yeah, I can do. Okay, so now about the Scottish notes. So okay, those are actually from banks which no longer have their own notes. They're quite old, from the 60s. So this one, as I remember, they later merged into, I think, what became Clydesdale Bank. And funnily, Clydesdale Bank as well, it doesn't exist anymore. They rebranded as Virgin Money. And they will also stop with their own banknotes. Basically, they already stopped. So there will only be 2 banks left, basically. Of course, you can still get the notes, but they are not as common. And yes, okay, but I will continue, and I will, yeah, you will see Clydesdale as well. So the British Lion Bank. So this is a bank which it only existed until the 60s, I guess. Like those are basically the last notes of them. Quite nice, like this type of old design. Yeah, also this one, very old-fashioned classic, but also very interesting. And of course, it was printed by Thomas de la Rue. Also, this is a £5 note from the British Lion Bank. They're not that expensive actually, or actually I got a very good price, but in general they are not too expensive. Then the Bank of Scotland. So this is the oldest bank. Like they go back 300 years. I was also in this museum in Edinburgh. You can also just go in there. Oh, actually this one is the older one. And actually I should have just taken as well like this classical, like this brown at least £1 note, because they had this design for a long time, up until the 60s. And well, then they this is the first time they changed the design in 1968. Then they looked like this for a short time. They kind of experimented a lot in the late 60s with the notes. Yeah, also this £5 note, same design. So yes, and then this the series from the 70s where they put Robert Scott. Since then they have him on every note basically. Yeah, so yes, £5. Also the back is the same. Then 10 pounds from this series and the 20 pounds. Yeah. Okay, this is already slightly different, and then this is, yes, very different. And from this series, there's also a 100 pound note, but of course, that one would be very expensive. Then they introduced this series in 1995 for the 300th anniversary of the Bank of Scotland. And they also, this was a regular series in the 2000s. Yes, this one, yeah, it's the one from 1995, the first series. Is this another date? Because there's also the 50 and 100. Yes. And okay, then the last paper series, I'm missing the 5 paper pound. Then, yes, here's the 5 and 10. With this theme on the back with these bridges, basically. Yes, and then there's the last, there's a polymer series of the Bank of Scotland. Yeah, this one. I only got in use condition. Yes, and by the way, this is the building of the Bank of Scotland. It's in Edinburgh. I was there. Inside there's a museum also. Of course, there's this hologram, which is worth looking at. Yeah, quite amazing. Otherwise, the design is always the same. So then there's a 50 pound note. The hologram is the same basically. Yes, but it was I was looking everywhere for the 50 pound notes. In Scotland, I got lucky. In Northern Ireland, it was impossible to find the 50 pound Ulster Bank, but in Scotland, I got lucky eventually. At the post office in Glasgow, I found the other 50. And yes, this one I only saw at the post office, also in Glasgow, another one, but they didn't want to just swap it, so I had to eventually exchange euro for pounds at a horrible rate to get those. And yes, but then I got lucky at this shop where he sold the banknotes, and he just swapped it for UNC. He had a lot of them, so it was like completely unnecessary to search everywhere, because yeah, I could just have waited for the shop. Yeah, but very interesting that I found out that now the 50 and also there's a 100 pound note from this bank he also would have had, but I don't know, I just didn't take it. But yes, basically 50 pound notes are very rare, especially the Scottish ones. British ones, you can find them, but you don't even get them from the ATM. So yeah, it's quite crazy how far they are with cashless society. I would say it's maybe even worse than Sweden, because there was quite some places which just didn't accept cash. Okay, then the Royal Bank of Scotland, and here the first notes that I have are from 1967. With this, there's only those two notes with, as I know, yeah, just those two, 1 and 5 pound, with David Dale on them. And for some reason, they only had them for 2 years. Okay, this 1969 already, they just switched the design. There's a bridge, coat of arms, and yeah, here's some buildings. And just 2 years later, basically, yeah, they just switched the design. and yeah, they just put the coat of arms. I don't know what's the reason. And then um, yeah, from the early 70s, they had this design, just a coat of arms, basically. Yeah, and this Edinburgh, Old Town, and New Town below. Also, yeah, okay, that's Edinburgh Castle, very classic. And this castle, which later also they put on this one, as I remember. Yes, and the £10 note. Yeah, still they kept the same castles. Yes, and yeah, as you see, it's the same design on the back. And this is a commemorative note for Alexander Graham Bell. Yes, as you see, it's the same castle on the series, which they had for also, yeah, they had for quite some time. They had it just until they introduced polymer notes. Yes, with the same castles. Of course, there's also the 50 and 100 note. Okay, and then the polymer series from the Royal Bank of Scotland, and well, they went from this design, which wasn't very innovative for a long time, and then they switched it, and now they have like Ulster Bank. They had like the simplest design for the longest time, and now suddenly they switched and they have the best design, definitely. So, and interestingly, there's only woman on these notes, and yeah, for example, her I saw in Glasgow in the museum there was a section about her. So this was Miss Stevenson, and she had these tea houses. Very, very interesting story. And yeah, also I saw like portraits of I think her. I think she was like some writer, poet, something. Yes, and on the back there's this amazing design with the animals. Yes, and the 50 knot, which luckily I got at the post office in Glasgow. They just swapped it, and then later I got even UNC one when I swapped it again. Okay, yeah, quite amazing. Okay, and then there's the Clydesdale Bank. Yeah, the oldest one, which I have from the 70s. They kept this design for a long time, just until well, the 2000s. Okay, and this £1 note is with Robert de Bruce, who is always on the 20 note of the Clydesdale Bank. Apart from that, they switched the people they had on the like tens and even hundreds. Yes, yeah, I don't really have a lot of them. There would be more to collect. Of course, I had to get this one. Yeah, this was also like a kind of commemorative one. And then this was the last paper series from the 2000s. Very nice also. This was the guy with the antibiotics, Fleming. Then Robert Burns, of course, also very important poet, writer. And here, yeah, again, Robert de Bruce, paper note. This one probably is the nicest. Also, the back is very nice. Yeah, I definitely prefer the paper version. Like, this was the best series. Yes, and then the polymer notes. So yeah, on the 5 they swapped the guy. Then yeah, for the 10 and 20 they kept them. And yeah, unfortunately, those are all the Clydesdale Bank notes, and they're the last ones. the last one ever. And yeah, of course, on this series there was the 15100, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, and those are all the Scottish notes. Okay, that's it with a quite long video about, well, probably the best country in Europe to collect notes from. At least contemporarily, I would say, because there's just the most variation and it's very nice. In terms of design and also the Scotland, really, they deserve it because they have the. I'm not sure if they were the first one. I think the first one was Sweden, but Scotland was like the country with basically the oldest sort of banking system and bank banknotes. Also, it goes back to the 18th century, and yeah, so Scotland, definitely I recommend everyone to collect them. It's yeah, definitely worth it also because they're, you know, they keep their value more than others. Actually, they're quite expensive usually, but yes, you can still get them at a better price, but it will become hard. Like literally, probably there's only this one shop. Maybe there's another one, but yeah, it's not that easy to buy them on the spot. Now basically everything is over the internet. Yes, but anyways, okay, that's it with Scotland.